everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm JakeyXYZ here, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the UBA Season 4 Week 1 Roundup. The season has officially kicked off, and we had some interesting matches. I honestly think none of them were particularly close. Maybe they were close at points, but someone in the match eventually broke it open, or they had momentum throughout the entire match and just never really lost it. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get right into the first match. Well, actually, before that, be sure to subscribe to all the coaches in the description down below. The UBA matches go up. The UBA matches go up every Saturday and Sunday, and we will be taking a break after week 4. There will be a 1-week break, and then we'll come back for week 5. So yeah, keep an eye out on all the coaches' channels. Subscribe. I am one of the coaches as well, so if you guys want to subscribe to this channel as well, that'd be greatly appreciated. But check everyone out. Subscribe so you not miss a single match in the UBA. Again, they happen every Saturday and Sunday. So, with all that being said, let's get right into the first matchup. We have the Montebello Morpeko versus the Detroit Pyroars. The Montebello Morpeko walked away with a 6-4 victory over the Detroit Pyroars. I think this would kind of by default be the match of the week. It wasn't. It wasn't necessarily the most exciting though. In terms of like, it wasn't back and forth. I feel like Mr.Toast, coach of the Montebello Morpeko, kind of had the momentum the entire match. I thought the start was really important. Carlos, Mr. Toast, led King Gambit, Zorak illusioned into King Gambit, and Max, Game Reviews coach of the Detroit Pyroars, led Clodsire. Right away, Carlos used Taunt to prevent the Clodsire from setting up the Toxic Spikes, because I think that would have done a lot of work. I mean, just the setups in general from Clodsire would have done a lot of work. Clodsire is just one of those really annoying Pokemon. Even then, like Yawn and all those types of moves, you just shut all of that down right away. It was just really nice. And then Carlos goes ahead and switches out to his Primarina, which is a good play in my opinion. But the biggest part of that was that Primarina used Ice Beam on Clodsire and froze it. That's a big deal. Prim didn't have to take any more unnecessary damage, took out the Clodsire, and honestly that ultimately did kind of lead to Primarina's second kill by taking out Rotom Heat. I don't think Primarina would have lived the discharge from Rotom Heat. I think it would have died, but instead Primarina lives, one-shots from Rotom Heat. That is 2 threats out of the way early. Very good for Carlos. Max was able to rebound. He terrored his Quackball, steal, and managed to take out a couple Pokemon, Primarina and King Gambit. The King Gambit death, I didn't think it was the smartest play he could have done, but it did do some damage to the Quackball at least, which ultimately allowed Rillaboom to come in and finish it. Then kind of became an interesting showdown where Skeledirge and Rillaboom were just kind of trading blows back and forth. They were just, you know, Max would heal Skeledirge, Carlos would deal damage. It was just like this back and forth thing for a while. Carlos's prep clearly it didn't translate well enough, because if you guys didn't know, in the grassy terrain, Earthquake, Bulldoze, and there is another move, Magnitude, I believe, all have their damage halved in grassy terrain, and Carlos specifically brought a grassy terrain Rillaboom for the grassy glide, but he had Earthquake, so it wasn't doing damage to the Skeledirge. If he had Stomping Tantrum, I believe he might have been able to take that Skeledirge out a lot sooner, but unfortunately it just went back and forth until Skeledirge eventually died. Rillaboom eventually died to the Skeledirge. But then this was like the sort of this is what just basically ended the match, is when Zoroark came in, because Max didn't recognize the illusion, or he at the same time he couldn't really do too much about it, even if he did recognize that it was Zoroark, because Carlos and Zoroark, it was disguised as Mewtwo, I believe, and it actually managed to take out Skeledirge and Haxorus, before eventually going down to Lugia, who got finished by Zekrom. I would say for sure Zoroark was the that ended the match. Zekrom took out Lugia, ended the match. I thought Zoroark was the MVP in this match. The taunt on the Clodsire to just shut that thing down right away, and then it comes in kind of late game and gets a couple kills to open things up for Zekrom to finish it off. I believe there was also another bit of RNG for Carlos in this one, was it did get an attack drop on Haxorus. How much that would have mattered, I don't know, but it got an attack drop on Haxorus when it used D-Dance, so it effectively was still at neutral. But honestly, the Zoroark was just straight up MVP in this match. It even managed to get a hit off on the Lugia just to break the multi-scale, just to make sure that Zekrom could kill. Carlos terrored Zekrom. I mean, I didn't think it was necessary, but I mean, it is what it is. you know, it's a safe play. Why not? It doesn't hurt. But yeah, this was definitely, I feel like, all Carlos for the most part. The momentum never really shifted away from him. At no point was I like, okay, this is where Max can pull it back. This is where Max can pull it back. The only point that I was a little like, was when King Gambit went down to Quack Wall. I thought that was like an unnecessary death. Again, there were a couple options he could have done, but he did manage to get damage off from the Quack Wall, ultimately leading to its death. So, I mean, it wasn't the worst, but I feel like any sort of drawbacks that Carlos had in this match, he was just kind of making it difficult on himself. But he was giving up the right kills, he was making the right plays, and just managed to outmaneuver Max and hold momentum throughout the entire match and walk away with a 6-4 victory. I thought it was a solid win from him. I think he could have maybe gotten away with like a 6-3, 6-2, probably not, but I think he could have gotten away with like a 6-3 in this one, but 6-4, still a solid win. Again, he had momentum throughout the entire match, and Zorak for sure was Carlos's MVP in that one. So a solid victory for him, 6-4, not bad. I got it right. Moving on, we have the Colchester Celtics versus Team Coin. Team Coin managed to walk away with their first victory of the season. A bit of a shocker. It was a 6-3 victory over the Colchester Celtics. The hard part with this one, I don't want to put an asterisk on it, but I mean, how much of a difference it would have made, I don't know. Half of Pidge's team weren't properly trained, or trained at all, really. Not sure which ones. I'm pretty sure Dialga and Zashin were two of them, which is incredibly important because those are both his legends. And I want to say the Galvantula, he said, was also not EV trained. Not great. You know, obviously those legends are very strong and you want them at their 100% capacity, but unfortunately, Pidge did not have that available. So, but ultimately, I think Pidge could have still pulled something off in this match. I think he could have made it a lot closer. What screwed him was the first turn. Maybe it was a hindsight thing for me. I gotta change my note here. Sorry. Maybe it was a hindsight thing for me. But he leads Galvantula. I want to say, I'm pretty sure Alan led Tyranitar to get up the stand. You could tell that Alan, the doorman, coach of Team Coin, was ready for that Galvantula lead. It almost seemed like he wanted it in a lot of ways. He wanted that Galvantula lead. He wanted that spider to be the one to lead the Colchester Celtics into this battle, because he sets up Tyranitar and then pivots into Espeon. So 2 for 1. What it does is Galvantula uses sticky webs. Espeon's magic bounces it right back at Pidge's team. So now Pidge has to deal with being -1 the entire match, because he has no defog, no rapid spin, none of that. But also it sets Espeon up with the weather ball, the rock type weather ball. So he's able to use that and it takes out the Galvantula. So the first 2 turns, in my opinion, effectively decided this match because sticky webs for Pidge was just the worst. I think. Again, I mean, I was kind of alluding to it. I don't think I finished my thought. I was kind of alluding to it. Maybe it's a hindsight thing. I personally, when I started watching the match, I was like, switch or don't use sticky webs, because I fully expected that Espeon to come in and just kind of get rid of that immediately. It was either that or T-Tar was going to use a rock type move. It was one or the other. But I know Alan did not want those sticky webs down, so the best case for him was exactly what happened. And the match, in my opinion, was kind of decided right there. And it just, from that point on, it just kind of felt like damage control for Pidge. He was really trying to just keep things from getting too out of hand. It was a lot of switches from Alan, which is something we're going to probably see a lot throughout the season just to keep things up. Yeah, this was just a tough one for Pidge. I mean, again, I don't want to put an asterisk on this match. We don't know how much of a difference the EV training and all that would have made. So I don't want to put a full asterisk because I'm going to give this to Alan. He did well with his pivots, especially the beginning. Like I said, I think Pidge could have done more in this match if it wasn't for the way the match started. I think he could have done a better job of, recognizing what was going to happen. But at the same time, it seemed like Alan was perfectly ready for that lead. So kudos to him. I thought this was a tough one for Pidge, just in general. Once T-Tar used Dragon Dance, it was just, at that point, it was just impossible to come back. But the fact that he still managed to make it at least a 6-3 was good. T-Tar used D-Dance a couple times, managed to get off 4 kills before going down to a Destiny Bond from Mimikyu. It's cheeky from Pidge to sneak that in to close the gap a bit more. So 6-3, I think this match could have easily ended 6-1 or worse. But Pidge did a good job of at least maneuvering and making sure he can make it a little bit closer. But again, ultimately, I think this match comes down to the EV training, obviously, but more so the first 2 turns. I think Pidge could have easily worked around that a lot better. yeah, despite the lack of training, I think Pidge had a couple ways into this match, knowing about Espeon's magic bounce. Again, maybe it was hindsight, but I kind of saw it coming when the leads happened. It's a tough one, but you know, he should be able to bounce back. Well, he just doesn't have the best week 2 matchup. You know, he's got probably his greatest rival in the draft league so far, in Humberto or LionheartPlays, so that's not a fun one to try and bounce back against. But credit to Alan. Credit to Alan. This team was not as chaotic as I thought it would be, but this was something I was trying to articulate in the roundup. I couldn't quite get it out in the right words, but I thought the way Alan can make this team work is through pockets of synergy. So the team as a whole, his 9 Pokemon have no synergy, but I think there could be pockets of synergy. We saw it with the Tyranitar to Espeon switch, right? I think there were a couple other switches in there which were nice, you know, just a couple pivots and movements where he can work off 2 Pokemon at a time. It's just kind of a hard strategy because once that connection gets disrupted, how long will it be able to last? You know what I mean? So it's an interesting. But it's an interesting team. But this is kind of what I was saying in the preseason roundup of how Alan can make it work. Is you got to focus on your 9 Pokemon in a lot of ways. You got to focus on your individual Pokemon and kind of taking benefits from here, taking benefits from there. But it's really about just using your Pokemon in the right ways. You can kind of ignore all the effects of weather and all that because ultimately he's the one setting it, so it benefits him. So he can kind of ignore it and work around it and do different things and force his opponent to think about it more than he has to. So I think he played well. Again, unfortunately, there is a little bit of an asterisk on this one, but at the same time, I still think Pidge could have put up a much better fight regardless. So yeah, good. Kudos, Alan. Good job. Way to get your first win right off the rip. That's exactly how you want to start the season with a team like this. So good job. Yeah, good win. Good win. Moving on, we have the Snowdonian Frosmoths versus the Walton Wingulls. The Frosmoths won 6-1 over the Walton Wingulls. This was an extremely straightforward match. I did not realize that Nate's team was going to be a metronome team. So this is kind of the big talking point for this match. I mean, I can quickly go through it. Scizor had the wrong set, but still managed to rack up 3 kills to start the match. And then it eventually went down to Stellar Mew, but then Fluttermane came in, Terra, and finished the match, getting 3 kills. So extremely straightforward. It was not an exciting match. I'm gonna be honest. It was. I think Nate got lucky with a couple moves. One of them couldn't even hit though because Fluttermane was a ghost type. So it was just a rough match. And so I'm gonna use this space to talk about Nate's team because again the match was very straightforward. 3 kills, then 1 kill, then 3 straight. Like it was just extremely straightforward for Jakey. This was an interesting match to say the least, but if Nate decides to stick with this metronome shtick, which in his video he did say he wanted to go with it throughout the rest of the season, then it's going to be a wild ride. He's fully leaning into the RNG. It's a fun idea. I just wouldn't expect too much from the team going forward. I personally am not a fan just because I don't like taking it. Effectively takes Nate out of the equation almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, he still has to prep his Pokemon. Yeah, he still has to switch, but it kind of feels like you're playing against the computer more so than the coach. But I will say, if Nate finds it fun, then who gives a damn? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how I feel about it, how anyone feels about it. If Nate's having fun, you know, who cares, right? That's what this league's all about. It's about, you know, getting in there and just having fun with competitive. You know, we try not to take it too serious around here. So I think it's pretty interesting for him to try and, you know, try something like that because I think he has a good team. I think, well, it's a decent team at least. So for him to come out with a metronome is going to be an interesting one. He even mentioned in his video that he thinks playing against it's not going to be fun, which I agree. I think playing against it's not going to be the greatest. But watching from an entertainment standpoint, you know, I think it's also pretty cool. I know for a fact that if Nate manages to pull off a win this season, I'm going to get hyped for him. I don't know about you guys. I will get hyped for him because that means RNG was with him all the way through, the entire thing. So I will definitely be keeping an eye out, you know, for a potential win from him. Will it happen? Maybe not. Who knows? But it doesn't really matter. I'm still going to be keeping an eye on it. But yeah, this is an interesting team. I wish I would have known because then we would have gone over it in the preseason roundup. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Fully leaning into the RNG. It kind of sucks because we didn't really get to see what Jakey's capable of with his week 1 matchup, which could play to his benefit heading into week 2. So. Yeah, he didn't really have to do too much in this one. Scizor was just tanking everything and then just eventually got worn out by Mew, but then Fluttermane again just finished everything. So we didn't really get to see a whole lot from Jakey. Again, could play to his benefit, so we'll see. But interesting team, Nate. And finally, our final week 1 matchup, we have the LA Inferno versus the Miami Palafins. A match that got off to a very fun start. So obviously, I am the coach of the LA Inferno. LionheartPlays coach of the Miami Palafins. Sorry if you heard my phone right now. I am a professional. Totally not. We have a little bit of a budding rivalry. We're very good friends. You know, we got a little bit of a rivalry going though, so this is always going to be a fun one. He went ahead and led Clefairy for what was a fun lead because he decided to go for the Cosmic Power Moonlight. Bit of a heal stall strat there. And the Clefairy cheese was definitely frustrating to say the least. I wasn't upset. I just don't like heal stall that much. It's just, and honestly, I think what caught me most off guard is I just didn't expect it from him. I don't think I've ever seen him do heal stall strats. We make fun of it all the time when we're watching videos and stuff. So it was it was very weird to see him use a heal stall strat. But you know, with those kind of strats, you kind of just can't let it get to your head, and you just got to keep working around it. So that's exactly what I did. Eventually, I sent an Archiludon. I led Kleavor, and eventually I sent an Archiludon to finish out the Clefairy. It also killed Corviknight. I believe in his video, well, he did a post commentary, but regardless, in his video, he said that he didn't expect Archiludon to outspeed my Corviknight, which I kind of had a feeling anyways, but he did also say his Corviknight wasn't invested in speed, so yeah, there was that. But Corviknight tried to get off the Iron Defense with Body Press strat, didn't work. So Archiludon was able to get us off to a fast start. You know, 2-0 up, but then Glimmora versus Archiludon happened. They both Terraflying. And honestly, I was really dumb because his Glimmora Terra first, which should have told me that it had outsped me. And Glimmora, I kind of just let it get 2 kills for no reason. It killed Archiludon and then killed Kleavor. It didn't need to happen like that. I didn't need to let him level it up. I think I still had the momentum because the Glimmora was low. I just had to make the right moves. So at this point, I sent in Salamence, killed the Glimmora. I sacrificed the Toxic Spikes. I still had, oh no, I didn't. I lost my Defogger, but I had Eternatus for the poison to try and take up the Toxic Spikes. So I had a couple back pocket things for that. But he killed Glimmora, got the Moxie boost. Then he sent in Chin-Pao, and I think this is effectively what ended the match. He opted to use Sucker Punch instead of an Ice-type move, and Salamence took it and then returned fire and killed the Chin-Pao. Was able to take out Indeedee and was able to take out Dragonite. I believe in Humberto's video, he did mention that he wishes he would have saved his Terra for Dragonite and done Terra normal for the extreme speed, because he did manage to get an extreme speed off on Salamence. Salamence was about 70 HP ish, something like that, 75. Dragonite used E-Speed and got Salamence down to like 15 HP or so. So a crit for sure would have killed. But he said he wishes he would have kept the Terra normal for the extreme speed. However, that wouldn't have worked because what the Pokemon that came out before Dragonite was Indeedee. Indeedee set up the Psychic Terrain. For those of you who might not know, Psychic Terrain prevents priority, but only for grounded Pokemon. So flying types or like Levitate Pokemon do not get affected by terrain. But if Dragonite had Terra normal, it would have lost the flying and it would have been affected by the priority at that point. I'm pretty sure. I think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's how grounded works. It's based off flying and levitate, not like actually whether it's floating or not, which I think is kind of dumb. It's weird, but I guess most floating Pokemon have levitate or whatever. I believe that's how it would have worked. So I think crit, the possible crit E-Speed was the way to go. Who knows? Maybe he got the lowest of low rolls on that E-Speed and it would have killed regardless. But yeah, I believe the Psychic Terrain would have prevented the priority. If not, I could be wrong. I could be wrong and maybe saving the Terra. But ultimately, I don't know because the Glimmora would have taken the Flash Cannon. He would use Earth Power. I don't know. It would have been an interesting one. Maybe I would have been able to recognize earlier that Glimmora outsped Archiludon. I don't know. It would have been an interesting, different alternate scenario if he decided not to Terra Glimmora and instead decided to Terra the Dragonite at the end. But then again, would that have even been a matchup at the end with Dragonite and Salamence? Who knows? But yeah, Salamence was able to finish it off with 4 kills, your MVP for the week. Whoop, whoop. And yeah, this was an interesting match because I feel like if a couple different decisions were made on both sides, it would have been closer. If Chin-Pao killed Salamence, would he have been able to pull off a win? I don't know, because the Eternatus at that point was still in the back pocket. Torkoal was there for the Chin-Pao. Like it would have been an interesting alternate scenario there. Humberto said his Clefairy was just not it in this match. Like he thinks he misplayed it big time. maybe if he started something different and brought in Clefairy later on when I was a little more vulnerable, who knows? Who knows? Again, a couple different decisions are made. This could be a completely different match. So an interesting one where it's a lot of what ifs in that one, but we managed to walk away with a 6-2 victory in that one. So those are all 4 of your matchups from week 1 in the UBA. Next up, we have our predictions for week 2. I'm going to go a little more in depth in this one because the preseason roundup, it was already too long by the time we got to this point. So for our first matchup in week 2, we have Team Coin, who are 1-0 versus the 0-1 Detroit Pyroars. Obviously, not many of us saw the Team Coin win coming, but it was a very good one to say the least. And also, again, Max's match against Carlos was pretty one-sided. He never really had momentum. I like what I saw from Alan and the way he was able to maneuver things around his team, the switches and all that good stuff. I think Max, again, had an okay showing, but I just think he couldn't get any momentum in his match. Alan's team may hard counter that because it's just he can reset momentum a lot of times, but I feel like Max's team especially has the capability of handling the changes and maintain momentum in this one, which I think is going to be really important in this match. I think it's going to be really important against Alan in general, is just momentum, catch fire, and you can do some work. I think Max will bounce back. I'm going to take Max in this one, but I won't be surprised if Alan manages to pull it off again. But again, I think Max has the tools to be able to shut down some of the things that Alan might bring. And it's just going to be about maneuverability and momentum, I think, in this match. So I could say like a 6-4, 6-5 either way, but I'm going to back Max in this one. I think Max will pull it off, bounce back from his win, kind of give some things for Alan to think about heading into week 3, but I'm going to take Max in that one. Next up, we got the Snowdonian Frosmoths versus the Montebello Morpeko, both 1-0 heading into this match. Our only 1-0, undefeated matchup in this week. I think this might be the match to watch. Either this one or the next one. I thought Carlos played really well in his match again. I don't think he ever really lost momentum, and a lot of his mistakes came from prep. Really, honestly, like that's really where a couple mistakes came. Again, maybe he could have kept the King Gambit alive, but who knows how much of a difference that would have made. But I think the biggest problem with this match is Jakey really wasn't challenged in week 1. We didn't really get to see anything. We saw 2 Pokemon hit the field for him, which was Fluttermane and Kleavor. He just didn't have to do anything in that match. So again, that could play to his benefit. That could play to his detriment. Maybe he's going to be a little more cold heading into week 2. He's not as warmed up as he could have been. But I wouldn't expect this match to be slow and steady. I think this is going to be very much an in-your-face. I think they'll match each other's pace. I think this could be a boxing match, pretty much. I think it could be a back-and-forth kind of, boxing match, and whoever gets that big uppercut is going to be one that finishes it off. So I don't expect this one to start slow and steady. I don't expect this one to be slow and steady in general. I think the hardest part is Jakey's unpredictability, because I know his team is very offensive, so we know that, but we didn't really get to see much from his team. So this is probably the closest match to call. But I think based off the performance that Carlos had in week 1, I'm going to back him in this one. But like I said, I think this is going to be a really, really back and forth match. I really think this might be the most exciting match to watch this week, to be honest. But I'm going to take Carlos just purely because we have something to go off of. And that was his week 1 performance, which is really good. So again, the way Jakey's week 1 could either play to his benefit or his detriment. So it's kind of a wild card in this one. But I'm going to back Carlos since we kind of were able to see more from him. So yeah, next up, we have the 0-1 Miami Palafins versus the 0-1 Colchester Celtics. The 2 former champions going against each other. Had a bit of a rough week 1 for both of them. But just like with Jakey, we didn't really get to see what 100% Pidge was in this battle. Different scenarios, but we didn't really get to see what Pidge was capable of, so we don't really know fully what to expect from him. I think aside from one battle between these two, this matchup has just been historically close and intense. I think... Honestly, I don't know. It's a tough one because we didn't get to see really much from Pidge. Humberto, he wanted to do something with Clefable. It didn't work out, and it kind of messed up his momentum in that match. I think I'm going to back history in this one. I think I'm going to take Humberto over Pidge. But I am fully expecting Pidge to bring the heat this week around. Like he'll fix his mistake. He'll EV train. He'll be better prepared for this one for sure. So I would expect him to bring the heat. I'm expecting another intense showdown between these two. They always bust out the classics. So this is going to be a really fun one. But I'm going to back the Miami Palafins. I'm going to back history in that one. I think Humberto bounces back. and relegates Pidge to an 0-2 start, which would also be a repeat of history because Pidge notoriously starts the season slow and then just ramps it up 10 times, tenfold, whatever, in the second half of the season, heading into playoffs. So, who knows? It might play to his favor, but I think I'm going to back MIA Palafins in this one. And last up, we have the LA Inferno, who are 1-0 versus the Metronome, is 0-1 versus the Walton Wingulls, who are 0-1. It's basically the LA Inferno versus RNG in a lot of ways. This game and any game versus this season is just going to revolve completely around RNG. So it's almost impossible to predict how exactly it will go. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go against Nate in all these matches because the gameplay is just, a lot of it is just very much out of his control. Yes, he trains his Pokemon. Yes, he has control over switches, like I mentioned earlier. Yes, he has control over Terras as well, but realistically, a lot of things are also out of his control. So it's a fun team to watch from an entertainment standpoint. Not the most fun team to play against. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm gonna back myself in that one. I'm gonna take myself. So for week 2, we got the Team Coin versus the Detroit Pyroars. I'm taking the Detroit Pyroars. The Snowdonian Frosmoths versus the Montebello Morpeko. I'm taking the Montebello Morpeko. The Miami Palafins versus the Colchester Celtics. I'm taking the Miami Palafins. And then the LA Inferno versus the Walton Wingulls. I am taking the LA Inferno. Let me know your guys' predictions down below. Let me know your thoughts about week 1 in the UBA. And yeah, once again, check out all the coaches in the description. Go subscribe to them so you not miss a single match of the season every single Saturday and Sunday, except for after week 4. I will let you guys know in the roundups when week 4 is about to happen, or when the break is about to happen. It is after week 4, so in a couple weeks we'll be taking a break. And yeah, so be sure to check out all the coaches, subscribe to them. Don't miss a single match every single Saturday, Sunday, almost every single Saturday, Sunday. I don't know why I keep saying that because we're going to take a break. Check out all the coaches, subscribe. Follow subscribers necessary. It's all greatly appreciated. Check out all the links down below. My intro, I have completely jumbled it. I threw myself off. Yeah, just check everyone out. Subscribe to everyone, follow everyone, do all that good stuff. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on week 1 and week 2 down below in the comments. Your favorite moments, what you guys think was the battle of the week, all that good stuff. Just let me know your general thoughts. And yeah, of course, be sure to share this with our friends, family, everybody, and all the people in Hermit is where it's at. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.